Hello, dear baker. You're welcome again to my YouTube channel. And today, together, we'll be making buttercream. That buttercream that has been giving you difficulty, it's time to know how to make it easily. So, join me. These are the ingredients I'll be using, and the list of the ingredients is in the description box and also in the comment section. So, do well to check it so you will not miss out on anything. So we'll be needing our butter or our margarine. Of course, that is why it is called buttercream. And followed by our butter or margarine, we'll be needing icing sugar. And today we'll be using 1 kg of icing sugar. I know we all know that there are different kinds of icing sugar. So preferably, just use the icing sugar of your choice that works best for you. Alright, next I'll be needing my sieve, and this is very important. The reason why many persons do not get a good buttercream is because they don't sieve. So sieving is very important. Next, we'll be needing our bowl, which is where we are going to sieve our icing sugar. Next, we will be needing our scraper. This is very important as you need to scrape as you are mixing, and of course the bowl for which I am going to use to mix. Then we need tablespoon and water, because we'll be needing water in this recipe, and we'll measure our water with our tablespoon. And lastly, we'll be needing our flavor, so use any flavor of your choice. Now let's go right into our buttercream making. The first thing we will do is that you'll be putting your margarine into your mixing bowl. I was planning to use the mixer, but unfortunately the light was taken and now I have to mix with my hand. So now I've poured in my butter into my mixing bowl, and the next thing I'm doing here is to sieve. So please do not skip this aspect of sieving. And like I said, we are using 1 kg icing sugar, and I'm using 500 grams, which gives me a total of 1 kg. So what I'm just doing here is that I am sieving. And as I sieve, I ensure that I break any lumps that might be in my icing sugar, because I don't want any lumps. What will happen if there is lumps in your buttercream is that your buttercream will not come out smooth when you use it for baking. And that's why you see some buttercream that they don't look fine, they don't look smooth. It is simply because one of the reasons, amongst many other reasons, can be because they did not sieve properly, or they added the lumps from their icing sugar into their batter. So I am just opening my second 500 grams here, and I'm about to sieve that also. That is what I'm just doing here. So buttercream is not difficult to make. Once you follow the recipe, once you have a good recipe, you follow the recipe to the letter, not adding or not missing, and you are patient enough, you are going to get a good buttercream. So now I'll be mixing my butter. Some margarine, some butter, depending on what you are using, can be add, and even if they are not add, because normally you're supposed to use a room temperature margarine, they may have lumps, and that is why it is important that you cream first. And because you are using your hand, it might take longer. If I was using mixer, it would have been easier. So now I'm done creaming the butter alone, and I'm adding the icing sugar. And please note, you are not to add all your icing sugar at once if you are using your hand to mix. Why? It can be difficult for you to mix. It looks easy that I'm mixing here, but really it was not as easy as it looks. So what you have to do is to add your icing sugar to your butter little by little and mix till you will discover that you will need water to be added to it. So here I'm still mixing, and the reason why I've not added water is because it's still easy for me to mix and pliable. Then here I'm noticing that it has become hard, and I will be adding my water next. So I get my water and my measuring spoon. Another thing you notice is that I did not just pour my water. No, I measured. Why? Measuring is very important in getting a smooth buttercream. So at first I poured 3 tablespoons of water. In total for this recipe I used 5 tablespoons of water. But when I first poured my water, if you notice, I only poured 3 tablespoons of water. Why? Because different icing sugar takes different quantities of water. That is what I've noticed. There are some icing sugar that you may not need to add water again. But as I was still mixing, I noticed that I will still need water. But at first I poured 3 tablespoons of water, and here I added my icing sugar after adding the water, and I added flavor of my choice. Please always add your flavor to your butter when you're mixing. I actually forgot that. That's why I'm adding it at this stage. You are to add your flavor at the beginning when you are still mixing the margarine for it to become soft. So what I'm doing now is that I just continued to mix. If I was using a stand mixer, of course I would have been done. Why? I'll pour all my ingredients together and I'll just time it to 3 minutes. But now because I'm using a wooden spatula, I continue to mix with my hand. And if you noticed, I have added another 1 tablespoon to my buttercream because I discovered that it was not very easy for me to mix. So if you discover that it is becoming difficult for you to mix your buttercream, that is when you'll be adding 1 tablespoon of water gradually. So like I said, different icing sugar requires different amounts of water. So in total now I've added 4 tablespoons of water, and I will still continue to mix. And yes, I'm just mixing. Of course it might take some time. I'm just adding my last batch of sieved icing sugar to my batter now, and here I know that I'll still need 1 more tablespoon of water, and I'm adding my last tablespoon of water, which made it 5 tablespoons in total that I used for my buttercream 1 kg. So please don't pour all your water at once, don't pour all your icing sugar at once. Mix gradually. You will know when you need to add more water. Now I'm done mixing. As you can see, the consistency is not too light, the consistency is not too thick. When I'm using this to covering my butter, when I'm using this to covering my cake, you will see that it will be easy for me to use. And another thing is that when you want to cover your cake, you might still discover that you need to add more water because you've allowed your buttercream to rest. You don't use your buttercream immediately. You allow it to rest, and when you want to use it, if you need water, you can just add another tablespoon of water. And that's it about buttercream. It is not difficult. If you have any question, of course you can ask me in the comment section, and I look forward to answering your question. So try out this recipe and let me know the outcome and what your result is. Thank you for staying. I'll see you in my next video.